Imagine an archipelago that feels honestly like a forgotten realm, a place where ancient traditions, the ghosts of global empires, and raw, untouched nature just collide in spectacular fashion. In this explainer, we're peeling back the layers of a fascinating yet fiercely overlooked corner of our planet, the Solomon Islands.
So where exactly do ancient rainforests, rusted World War II battleships, and the very real, rising tides of climate change all intersect? Well, to understand the deep complexities of our modern world, we really have to explore the breathtaking beauty and the immense historical scars of this island nation. It's a profound lesson in human resilience, geopolitical strategy, and environmental fragility.
Section 1. The Myth of Solomon. Our journey begins not in the modern era, but deep in the mists of prehistory.
The sheer scale of human history here is, frankly, staggering. I mean, think about it. Around 30,000 BC, during the Pleistocene era, the very first settlers arrived when sea levels were so low the islands formed a single massive landmass known as Greater Bougainville. Fast forward to 1200 BC, and we see the arrival of the Lapita people, bringing their distinct ceramics and Austronesian culture. Over millennia, these intrepid explorers transformed the fragmented islands into a thriving, deeply interconnected Melanesian culture long before any European ever set sail.
And it's this eventual European contact that sparked one of history's great misunderstandings. In 1568, Spanish navigator Álvaro de Mendaña became the first European to arrive. He found a rich culture, sure, but absolutely no mountains of gold. Yet, as word of his voyage made it back to Europe, hopeful rumors completely conflated his discovery with the unimaginable wealth of the biblical King Solomon's mythical city of Ophir. It was a very optimistic mistake, but it forever bestowed the name Solomon Islands upon the archipelago.
Section 2. Echoes of Global Empires. You see, the vast isolation of the Solomons just couldn't last forever. The 1800s brought a truly devastating practice known as blackbirding. This was the coercive, exploitative, and frequently violent kidnapping of Solomon Islanders. Stolen right from their homes, they were forced into brutal labor on plantations in Australia, Fiji, and Samoa. This global labor trade completely ravaged local communities. The resulting violence, along with a rampant illegal arms trade, ultimately prompted Britain to step in and declare a protectorate over the southern islands in 1893, ostensibly to quell the chaos.
Fast forward a few decades, and the islands were dragged into an entirely different kind of global storm. In August of 1942, those tranquil, pristine beaches were violently awakened by the roar of naval bombardments and massive amphibious landings. The Solomon Islands, and specifically Guadalcanal, became one of the most intense and bloody theaters of World War II. Right here, Allied forces and the Empire of Japan clashed in a grueling campaign that became an absolute turning point in the Pacific War.
But behind all that grand military strategy was this incredible human element. U.S. Admiral William Halsey famously declared, "The Coast Watchers saved Guadalcanal, and Guadalcanal saved the South Pacific." Amidst the rusted wreckage of fighter planes and battleships that literally still litter the coral reefs today, it was the immense bravery of the local Solomon Island Coast Watchers that turned the tide. Operating deep behind enemy lines to provide critical intelligence, their courage remains a legendary testament to the resilience of these islanders.
Section 3. The Spirit of One Talk. Because beyond the echoes of foreign empires and shipwrecks lies the true heartbeat of the islands, its people.
74. That is the number of distinct, living languages spoken across the Solomon Islands today. To put that into perspective, in a population of just over 700,000 people, this linguistic density reflects a profoundly diverse tapestry of Melanesian, Polynesian, and Micronesian cultures. It's a staggering level of diversity crammed into one small island nation.
So how do you navigate that incredible diversity? Well, there is one deeply rooted cultural spirit that binds these communities together: One Talk. Translating literally to One Talk is a foundational system of extended family support among blood relatives who share a common language. Even though the English Creole known as Pidgin serves as the unofficial unifying language, One Talk is the true social safety net. It's a shared identity and a lifelong mutual obligation to assist one another.
Now, this complex social fabric was severely tested not that long ago. Between 1998 and 2003, the country experienced a tragic period known simply as the tensions. Migration, heavily driven by economic disparities, caused intense ethnic friction on the main island of Guadalcanal. Armed militias formed, primarily the Isatabu Freedom Movement and the Malaita Eagle Force. The situation escalated until law and order completely collapsed, bankrupting the unformed state. Peace was only finally restored when an international peacekeeping force intervened in 2003.
Section 4. A beautiful, fragile economy. Today, the struggle for lasting stability continues, leaning heavily on a breathtaking, yet highly vulnerable natural environment.
78.1%. That number is a massive point of national pride, but also a real source of vulnerability. The Solomon Islands ranks 7th in the entire world for its percentage of forest coverage. Blanketed by ancient, dense, deeply green rainforests, this ecology is absolutely vital to the planet, but it also happens to be the primary engine of the nation's economy.
Here's why. An overwhelming 66%, literally 2/3 of the country's entire export economy, is made up of rough wood. The insatiable global demand for timber completely drives the economy, but it's resulting in logging practices that threaten the very forests that define the landscape. It's an incredibly fragile, high-stakes balancing act between short-term economic survival and long-term ecological preservation.
But the beauty definitely doesn't stop at the shoreline. 474. That is the number of identified coral species living beneath the ocean's surface right here. This gives the Solomon Islands the second highest marine biodiversity on the entire planet. It is a spectacular underwater world offering vast, though largely untapped potential for sustainable ecotourism. Section 5. Tides of Tomorrow. As we look to the future, this fragile paradise finds itself caught right in the crosshairs of massive global forces far beyond its own shores.
Looking at the geopolitical chessboard, the Solomon Islands has recently drawn some intense international scrutiny. For decades, the nation recognized Taiwan diplomatically. However, in 2019, the government made a massive pivot, switching its diplomatic recognition to the People's Republic of China. This shift, followed closely by new security pacts, has placed this developing state squarely in the middle of fierce superpower rivalries playing out across the Pacific.
Yet, the most existential threat to the Solomons isn't political at all, it's environmental. The archipelago stands at the absolute forefront of man-made climate change. They are battling rising oceans that threaten to swallow their low-lying atolls. On top of that, situated right on the volatile Pacific Ring of Fire, they face a constant threat of tectonic activity, like earthquakes and tsunamis. This actually gives them the second highest natural disaster risk of any country worldwide.
So, how will this breathtaking state navigate the rising tides of climate change and the fierce rivalries of global superpowers? The Solomon Islands is a place of profound contrasts, a pristine paradise forged in the fires of tectonic plates, shaped by ancient navigators, scarred by global wars, and currently walking a very thin economic and political tightrope. As this explainer comes to a close, we're left to wonder, will the resilient, deeply unifying spirit of Wantuk be enough to anchor the Solomon Islanders against the gathering storms of tomorrow?